Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Shingleton. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Fort Worth. And in partnership with TCU, I guess, they asked me to be here this afternoon instead of Mayor Betsy Price, who is dealing with another issue that she can't seem to get away from. But it's certainly my pleasure to be here this afternoon. I'm a frog of MB. Thank you. Thank you. I'm quite proud of that. I have an MBA from, you probably say it's 100 years ago, but it's not quite, but it's close. And but it's very nice to see so many of you here, students from the Metroplex, from a variety of higher education institutions. In Fort Worth, I'm sure you realize that we have a long history of entrepreneurship in this city, and we have that pioneering spirit. We have that is alive and well today. And with the growth of this city and all of the challenges that brings forth, that pioneering spirit is at times tested. And we're looking for you for solutions. So I'm thrilled today to recognize our very, very special guest to Fort Worth, Paul DeJoria. As many of you know, he is the co-founder of Paul Mitchell Hair Products. Now, I will tell you that I don't use a whole lot of Paul Mitchell Hair Products. However, Mr. DeJoria has an incredible heart, and he's a very impressive entrepreneur. He joined the Giving Pledge movement, and he has established JP's Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation. He and I are throwbacks to the hippie area. I want you to know that. But a hub for his charitable investments and spans such core values that is exemplary: sustainability, social responsibility, animal friendliness. But perhaps Jean-Paul and I share a special bond, and we just tested that just a few minutes ago. It's a special affinity for tequila. That's right. He is the co-founder of Patrón. You didn't know that? I'm only skimming the surface of his remarkable business history. So he's a wonderful businessman and a wonderful person. And with that, I am delighted to give him a key to the city. Sir, would you please rise forward? It's not a large key to the city, but it does open the wine locker in the mayor's office. So that's what.
You got to look at her.
Yes.
Or she'll be upset. There you go. We don't want her upset. This is very kind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. We enjoy having you, and I'm sure they're dying to hear your comments.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. You betcha, sir.
Thank you. Hi. I'll set the key down. You know, in life we see things that we think are real, and sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But what is very, very real is that America still works, beyond any question of a doubt. And people have to know that. They say, well, JP, can you do today what you did 38 years ago when you started Paul Mitchell with $700 and lived in your car? And the answer is yes. In fact, you could do it today a lot easier than I did. And I think the best thing that I could possibly do for you today would be to give you various examples on how to start a business with little to no money, and at the same time manage your people with love. Now, why is that important? John Paul Mitchell Systems is 38 years old now, and I believe we are the largest, the world's largest privately held hair care company. In the 38 years we've been alive, and we're in 103 countries throughout the world. Our entire turnover is less than 100 people. Yeah, almost none. The whole thing is, if you want to work for Paul Mitchell, you got to wait in line because nobody wants to leave. My oldest employee is Peppy, and Peppy kind of retired, I believe, the year before last at 82 years old. But, you know, it's just a matter of we take care of our people. And when you take care of your people, you take care of your planet, you take care of your family, and at the same time, you know how to do things properly with little to no money, all of a sudden you get success just boiling out of you. And you give back along the way. If you get the opportunity, you could go on iTunes, you go on Netflix, but try and get a hold of Good Fortune, the movie. You saw a little trailer on Good Fortune. It's about an hour and a half long. I think it costs $4 to rent, something like that. But it's step for step on how not only America still works, and I'll give you part of that today, but along the way, some of the things that we could do to help America work better for all the people all the time, regardless of what is going on. A good way to start off is to give you an example of what life is really, really all about. And there's many little sayings that people have, but the biggest saying I like to give you, this one saying has to do with you as a student in your personal life and everything else. And if ever you wanted to write something down or memorize something, this is the sentence. And by the way, I think this is being recorded, so your school will have it to look at. And here's the saying I love to say. In the end, everything will be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. Whether it's in your personal life, in your studies, in your business life, no matter what you do, as long as you know that in the end, everything will be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. It means no matter what difficulties you run through, no matter what obstacles you come across, you know that eventually it's going to be good. And if I could prove this to you is, you can think in your own lives of something that went really wrong, whether it was in junior high school, grammar school, in your personal life, and it was like a disaster, and you were all upset about it, and you just thought about it, couldn't even go to sleep at night. But as the months went by, things worked out okay. And at the very end, everything was okay. Starting John Paul Mitchell Systems in 1980, I'd worked for several other pretty big companies, and they all fired me. There's 3 of them that fired me. One of them fired me, the big one. It was Redken, by the way. I was their national manager of 2 divisions for Redken at a fairly young age, and I went by one day the cage area full of little marmoset monkeys. Little guys like that, and they had them in these small cages. I walked by, and there was a white door and a little window like that, and I opened up. I said, hey, look at all these cool little monkeys. When do you take them for a walk? And they said, well, we don't. I said, well, I will. I'll go get a little leash. I'll take them outside for a walk. They said, no, you can't do that. I said, I can't do it, but you don't keep them in those cages all day, do you? Well, yes, we do. Well, why? And they said, because it makes us look good. We're the scientific approach. I said, well, we make products for humans, not for animals, so why do you want to pour shampoo into someone's eyeball, especially a monkey, or mess with their skin and inject them with something when they're not humans? Why don't we do it on ourselves? They said, because it makes us look good. We're the scientific approach. So I complained and said, this is stupid, flat out stupid. Well, that didn't go over very well with upper management. So they said, JP, we love you. Your divisions grow every year, but man, you're not a corporate guy, and we're a corporation. So I had to move on. Second company that I worked with, I went to work with, and I wanted to do things a little differently. When some of my people were out in the field, and they were out there for a couple of weeks, and wanted to come home, I'd bring them on home. One day, upper management said, well, leave them out there for an extra week. It saves the company airfare coming out again next month. Leave them for an extra week. We're only paying for the hotel room anyways. And I said, yeah, but they have families. They got to come home. Leave them out there. Don't worry about it. They want their jobs. They're not going to question it. I brought them back. I said, but they're people. Man, they have families, Well, that didn't go over too good with upper management, so I got fired. Third company in the beauty industry, Institute of Trichology. I came on board as their vice president of sales and marketing. And their sales, a small company, but their sales tripled the first year I was with them. Tripled. So one day, the owner of the company came in and said, JP, we have to let you go. His name was Ken Snow. He's one of the owners. We have to let you go. I said, why? They said, well, because you made more money than the owner. I said, but I went to work for you for only $3,000 a month and 6% of all new sales that I generated, not existing sales. He said, well, that's what got you in trouble. You had so many sales, you made more money than the owner of the company. So we have this fellow named David Chapman that could do your job for 1/3 the cost. So we got to let you go. It's economics. I thought, boy, that's stupid. Anyways, it happened. And I want to stop at this point to tell you the next point and why. In life, things happen for us. Sometimes we don't know why they happened, but there's something called fate out there. If it wasn't for me working for Firmidel, which is one of the big companies, Redken, which was the first big one, and the Institute of Trichology, I could have never started Paul Mitchell with $700. It would have been impossible. One company taught me distribution. The other one taught me shows and marketing. The other one taught me packaging. If it wasn't for all three, it would have been impossible. There is something out there called faith, and there is a God, and sometimes they just put you in different directions, but at the end, everything was okay. When I was fired from Rick, and I loved my job. Oh my God, how could they fire me? I'm doing a good job because I'm complaining about what they're doing with animals. This is stupid. And I was kind of down because I liked what I did. In all the various positions, why? The end result was, in the very end, I started my own company and did extremely well and never tested on animals from the first day. And it worked really, really well. How do you start a company, especially a huge international company that evolves eventually, with $700? This is 1980. We had it all set up. I know I needed, because I worked for previous companies, $500,000 to start a hair care company. There was no way I could do it for less. My partner was the hairdresser. I was a business person. Great guy, Paul Mitchell. We were buddies forever. Anyways, Paul didn't do business and I didn't do hair. I worked for hair companies, but I'm not a hairdresser. I'm not talented enough to be a hairdresser, but I'm a pretty good business person. So Paul and I thought, hey, Paul, you're the hairstylist, a darn good one. You're very innovative. You know what a hairdresser needs. I'm the business part of it. We need money. So I finally arranged for $500,000 in funding. For that, we gave up 40% of the company. Now it's January, the end of January, going to February of 1980. And my situation wasn't going very well, so I left the situation I was in. I took the used car, drove it down the hill to the bank to get some of the money. I left with the situation I was in, money, whatever was necessary to take care of everybody. And there's, a few $100,000 down the hill there. Had a few $100 in my pocket. Went down there, the money never came in. So I called Dick Holthouse of Citibank, who was my other pal, who arranged for the financing. And he said, JP, I've been trying to call you all day, but you left your situation you were in. I couldn't get a hold of you. He changed his mind. I'm so sorry. Yes, the money never arrived. A penny never arrived. There was no money. I left everything I was doing prior to that time. I had no job, a few $100s in my pocket. I had a pretty good place where I lived before, but I left it with my ex at the time, and all the money that she needed for many, many months to come. I had money down the hill. It never, ever arrived. So, and Paul flew on over from Hawaii. That's where Paul Mitchell lived at the time with his lovely lady. Flew on over to get some money. He was down his few dollars because he was a little older than I was. Money never came in. It was a matter of, my God, what are we going to do? Paul, how much money do you have extra? JP, I could come up with $350. That's it. I said, I have a few $100s in my pocket, but I'm going to get the rest. I'll borrow it from my mom. And that's $700. Well, the first thing we did was I went to the fellow who did our artwork. It's black and white, by the way, the initial Paul Mitchell bottles. The bottle was white, the printing was black. Now, why black and white, no color? Color was 7 cents a run. Black and white was 2 cents. That's all we could afford. But it turned out to be unisex. So first of all, we needed the artwork. So I went to the artist that did the artwork for us because the silk screener needs art to silk screen off of. And we told him the story. Look, I have 30 days credit with the bottle guy arranged because they thought we were going to be big and had money. I have 30 days credit for the filler, 30 days credit for everybody. But in this case, I need the artwork. I was honest. We only have $700. Can I give you $300 now so I can have a little bit of money? And he said, no. He says, your artwork's $1,000, but I'll probably never see it, so I'll take all $700. He took it all. I had a few $100s in my pocket. That was it. But how do you start a company where you have no house, no nothing, with just a few $100s? Well, nobody knew the money didn't come in. I didn't lie to anybody. I just didn't say anything. So I had the artwork. So I immediately called up the bottle maker manufacturer, who was all set to deliver 100,000 white bottles to the silk screener. So I said to him, instead of getting the whole order, 100,000 bottles, can I have a sample of only 10,000? Oh, sure, understandable, of course. Went to the silk screener, told him the same thing. Of course, no problem. Went to the filler, of course, you want a sample run, easy. From the time I said yes on the bottles till the time I got to the silk screener to the time I got to the filler was 2 weeks, and the filler started filling. The first one was due, the bottle guy, 2 weeks later. So now we had product, bills that were owed, we had no money to pay it. I'll get back to what we did to tell you how I existed. I had a mom that lived in Los Angeles, great mom, but I was too proud, you might say a little bit stupid, to say, Mom, I'm kind of down and out right now. I left everything behind, money. I have the used car right now, the older car, and I want my whole room back, and could you please feed me for the next few weeks? I'm down and out. I was too proud to say anything to my mother. I was just too proud. So I went by, that's where I got my $350. I said, Mom, can I borrow $350? She says, Johnny, you're doing well, you have money. I said, Mom, it's a new project I'm working on here. I'll give it back to you at the end of the month. Okay, son, here you go. Anything else I could do for you? No, Mom, everything is fine. That was my $350. So I had decided there's no place to go here. I didn't want people to know how off I was, so had a pillow, had a blanket, and I slept in my car. Now, how do you live? You still have to eat. Griffith Park wasn't far away. It was a public park with tennis courts. They had public showers. That was my shower. There was a place called the Freeway Cafe right on Ventura Boulevard near Barham Boulevard. To get truckers in there, they had what they called their breakfast special, 99 cents. But you have to go after 9 o'clock and before 11 o'clock. And for the 99 cents, you got 1 egg, 1 piece of toast, and either a piece of bacon or a sausage and orange juice or coffee, one of the two. Well, the sausage was bigger, more filling, so that's what I went for, 99 cents. Well, how about dinner? You got to eat dinner. You've got to fill up. Somebody started at a place called El Torito in Toluca Lake, California, what they called happy hour. They wanted to get people in early because everyone was coming in after 6 o'clock. So if you were there from 4:30 to 6 o'clock, you got a margarita. It wasn't a Patrón margarita. It was cheap tequila for 99 cents. But you also got little tostadas, a little salsa, and eventually little chicken wings. Well, for 99 cents, I went in and got this inexpensive big margarita. But 20 chicken wings later, you're full. My vegetables I ate everything I could with that salsa. That was my meal. After doing that about 4 or 5 days in a row, they kind of caught on, and the waitress came over and said, you know, you got to be down and out because you're coming here exactly at the hour. You're eating everything in sight like there's no tomorrow. And I told her what happened. They said, you know what? We love you. We see you coming in. Here's a couple extra tortillas, you know, or whatever. They were really cool about it. And I never forgot that. When I started making money, boy, did I go back and tip those people like they've never been tipped before in their life. But anyways, that's part of existing. Now, how do you start a company? How do you start an office when you have no office and no money? Here's how I did it. And you could do it today even easier. I went down to Universal City, which was a P.O. box. There's a little area called Universal City. They have a post office. There's post office boxes everywhere. In those days, it was $16 a year for a small post office box. But now I had an address. John Paul Mitchell Systems, P.O. Box 10597, Universal City, California. I had an address. Now that I had an address, we don't have computers like you have today in those days. So I went to a print shop, and for $4.50, they set type that said John Paul Mitchell Systems, P.O. Box 10597, Universal City, California, United States of America. They printed up and did typesetting for me. Then they made me one copy for 4 cents and a copy on an envelope for 4 cents. I went out and I made copies of that stationery for 4 cents a copy, and the envelopes for 4 cents a copy with John Paul Mitchell Systems, Universal City, California. So I had an address, I had stationery. How would I bill somebody if I sold anything? I just took the stationery and drew lines on it with a pen and across it, would handwrite in the product, handwrite in what it cost for the item, how much it was for a dozen, extended it right across by hand, and that was my invoice. But how are you get a hold of me? In those days, a cell phone came in a briefcase. Okay, it came if you had one, and we were very, very expensive. But I had a friend that let me use their phone, and I bought an answering machine for $49. They were very expensive in those days. So I had my answering machine, and a very dear friend of mine, this lovely lady with a British accent, her voice went on there. Oh, hello, John Paul Mitchell Systems. Welcome. We're all out and about. We're so excited. Leave your message. I'll have JP or Paul get hold of you later, or I will. Thank you. It looked like we were big. There was only 2 guys. One of them wasn't a businessman. The other one wasn't a hairdresser. But I had an office. I had an address. Now, how do you sell your products? Well, remember, it took 2 weeks before I actually got a physical product in my hand. I put them in my car, and I drove down Ventura Boulevard where there were tons of beauty salons. We decided to go to beauty salons because a salon knows the difference between products. And if it's really good, they'll use it in the salon, and they will recommend it to their customers. And we showed them how to use our initial first products to benefit the customer, so they could tell the customer how to keep their hairstyle they're going in between visits to look the same. That was a good selling point on there. Our products were 2 shampoos and 1 conditioner. But we had a catch. Each shampoo you only had to use once, not twice. The conditioner you left in your hair instead of rinsing it out, and it would help protect the hair from damage of blow drying, and actually even has a pomade in the hair. It saved time and money to the salon, and time and money also to the hairdresser. 3 months later, we invented something called Sculpting Lotion, where you put it in your hair. It gives you the wet look. You could, with your fingers, style your hair, and it dried. And then if you left it, it was the wet look. If you brushed it out, it was the fluffy, dry look, but with waves or any style you wanted in your hair. And it didn't flake. So we knew we had a darn good product, a really, really good product. All we had to do was get people to say yes. For those that have pens, if not, get a rewind on this one here. If you're ever going into business of any sort, 2 things you want to do for sure to succeed. It could be 2 of the greatest lessons or quotes I could give you to succeed in business. Number 1, do not go into the selling business. That's the best way you could remember it. Do not go into the selling business. Go into the reorder business. Now, what does that mean? It means that I'm going to make a product so good, or I'm going to have a service so good, that if you buy it from me, you're going to want to reorder it. If you get my service from me, you only use it one time, you're going to tell your friends about it. Most people put a service or a product together to be able to sell it to somebody. You don't want to do that. You want to think long term. You want it so darn good, they want to reorder it again, or they want to tell somebody about it. Go in the reorder business, not the selling business. It makes the selling a heck of a lot easier. Now, how do I get into things by doing that my big competitors spending millions of dollars on advertising, I had zero money to convince my customer, you want to take this. I gave them a money-back guarantee. If within 30 days, it's not one of the finest hair care products you've ever used, I will take back every bottle you have either not used or not sold and give you your money back. Now that's fair enough, isn't it? And I would look them in the eye and nod my head. Now that's fair enough, isn't it? Well, that is pretty fair. Whether they bought 5 bottles from me or 5 dozen from me in 1 month, if it did not work and it wasn't the best thing, anything they hadn't used or sold off the shelf, they get their money back. Anything they used, of course, they don't get their money back. So I had inventory that I could use. So the thing was, I knew it was so good. And to let you know this, in the first 3 years of business, only 1 bottle ever came back. That was it. one bottle in 3 years. And we think it was someone that just wanted money back because there's only that much left in the bottle, and the bottle was that big. We gave their money back. We kept our word because we knew the product was that good. Second good rule, and it's one of the best things I give young people or people a little bit older like myself, one of the greatest lessons ever. Be prepared for a lot of rejection. Be prepared for it. People say no, your idea is not going to work. You're knocking on doors and people are saying, no, I'm not interested. No, thank you. Well, what happens? We're human beings. We get disappointed. We get bummed out. Well, they must be right. 10 people told me the same thing. Oh, I'm going down the wrong alley. They must be right. I sold encyclopedias door to door in my early 20s. I worked for a company that is non-existent anymore called Collier's Encyclopedia. It was commission only. We had no leads, no appointments. You went out there during the day and you knocked on doors and found out where the young couples were, people that could possibly be interested in a set of encyclopedias that never thought of it before. You find out where they're at. If someone's home, you're trying to make an appointment when the husband or the wife comes back later to see them. Knocking on doors. They told me when I was in class, the way people succeed as encyclopedia salesmen on commission only commission, is you're going to get a lot of disappointment. But the people that can knock on those doors, and whether it's door 25 or door 50, you're just as enthusiastic on door number 51 or 26 as you were on the first door that was close in your face. Well, for me, it was over 100 doors, but I believe what they said. The average life of an encyclopedia salesman is 3.5 days. All these, really, I lasted 3.5 years, but I believed them. So I'm out there, no, thank you, goodbye, or sometimes just slam. They don't know what you're all about. You're trying to get in to talk to them. And my door opener was, hi, my name is Paul DeJoria, and we're bringing a new educational program in this area. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Do you mind if I step in? Yes, I do. Goodbye. Or what are you selling? Well, let me show you our presentation. Goodbye. Lot of frustration there. But I believe what they told me. So on door number 102, I'm just as enthusiastic as all the other doors that were closed or politely closed in my face, sometimes rudely, till I finally got in. Did I make a sale? No. I kept on working, and then it was a week later, I finally made one sale. I was on top of the world and got my commission for it. But I realized then that no matter what you do, if you are prepared, they prepared me, and I believed them. If you're prepared for rejection, then you're going to make it. So whether it's door 51, door number 503, if you've got a darn good product or a darn good anything, and you keep on going for it, eventually you're going to get through the door. Now, as you start getting through doors or you start getting people to agree with you, you get sharper at what you do. You get more confident at what you do. And all of a sudden now I was knocking on 5 doors and I was in 1 in 5. I was given 3 presentations. I made a sale on 1 out of every 3. You get better as time goes on because it builds your confidence. A lot of young people today have a difficult time. In fact, not just young people, my generation, which is your grandparents' generation, okay? People looking people in the eye. If you talk to someone, you're like this, hi, I'd like to show you something, or you're talking to them, you're not looking them in the eye, you're going to lose them entirely. They're lost, okay? Here's someone. But many times, all of us as humans are around someone you don't feel comfortable around. And it's weird looking them right in the eye because you don't feel comfortable around them. Here's what you do. You look them right between the eyes or at their eyebrows. It looks like you're looking them in the eye. Try this at home. Anybody you talk to, look them in the eye. If you don't look someone in the eye, you're not communicating. Another lesson I learned along the way is learn when to be quiet. The minute the other person talks, even if they're interrupting you, be quiet. Don't say a word. Believe me, what you want to say next will come to you. But too often in life, in our personal lives or our business lives or educational lives, we want to say something, someone interrupts us, and then now you're both talking at the same time. It'll come to you. Or if somebody's talking to you and you know the answer right away, you can't wait to get it out because you're going to forget it, don't interrupt them. Being a good listener is one of the greatest skills any human being could ever get. Listen. When you listen, you learn what the other person's point of view is. It was like going door to door. I went beauty salon to beauty salon. And I would go in there and I ask for the manager and I give my presentation. Here's shampoo 1 for normal to fine or color treated hair. Here's shampoo 2 for normal to thick or oily hair. What's great about this, you only need 1 shampoo. That saves you time and money at the back bar. Here's our new conditioner. It's a conditioning treatment. It's a product that prevents the blow dryer from really damaging your hair a lot. You could style with it, do amazing things with it. And no one has to be at the back basin in your salon for 10 minutes with a conditioner, and then you rinse it off. Plus, when you cut the hair, it cuts cleaner and faster. And by the way, put some in your hand. They would. I'd say, now rub your hands together. You've just neutralized every single chemical in your hands from being around hair color and other things. You benefit, everybody else does. So when you sell something or you give somebody an idea on something, you want to tell them what the feature is. Ours was 1 shampoo instead of 2, a leave-in conditioner. And then the benefit, how does it benefit you? Features and benefits is what you want to sell. Features and benefits. Here's how it benefits you. It saves you time and money. Here's my feature, here's how it benefits you. Now, how about people saying no? Even with Paul Mitchell, when I started it, we had a great product, but it was no, 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 no. We were the little guy on the block. No one heard of us before, going against all these big giants. So how in the world do you convince somebody to take your product? We knew it was the best product. We knew once they had it in their hands that beyond any question of doubt, the majority would like it and want to reorder. We just got to get it in their hands. We also knew that through experience, if you have a physical product and you have it on display, you don't want it on the bottom shelf, no one's going to look at it. You don't want it on the top shelf, no one's going to reach it. You want it at eye level. So I had all that in mind when I wanted to make my sale. So I would tell them what my product did, the feature, how it benefited them, and it was very reasonably priced. Now I'm asking for the order. Now these people didn't know me from anything when I walked through that door. So 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes later, I'm asking for the order. So how do I do that? Here's how I did it. I said, I have an offer I'd like to make to you. And I think it's one that you'll find very, very exciting. These products are so good, and I'm so convinced that you're going to like them, that if in your salon you will agree to, number 1, take 1 dozen each of my 3 products, and take for your back bar, your back base of your shampoo hair, maybe 3 quarts each of our shampoo and conditioner to use back there. If you will do that and allow me to come in here and make a display at eye level, because black and white looks very elegant at eye level, like a tuxedo at a formal event. I have to give a reason, right? Okay. And let me give your staff a training program. If you will agree to do that, here's what I will do for you. I will come in and hold a training program. I'll set up a beautiful display at eye level. I'll show you how to use our products and tell you also, if someone's buying something from you now to take home, which they really weren't in salons in those days, don't even tell them about Paul Mitchell. If not, which was 99% of them, you can tell them about it. But here's the deal. After I show you all this, if within 30 days, it's not one of the best products you've ever used, I will come back and take every bottle off the shelf you haven't used or sold out the door and give you your money back. Now that's fair enough, isn't it? Look them in the eye and kind of nod. And a lot of them would say, no, it's a new product. Why do I want to take dozens of something? I don't even know what it's all about here. And then I come right back and I say, I could appreciate that. Very powerful words. I can appreciate that, meaning I can understand where you're coming from. You're right. Any reason that's a no, I can appreciate that. Golden words. I'm on your side. I'm not going to debate you on it. However, I can appreciate that. Pause. However. I can appreciate that. However, I don't blame you. Here I want to put a dozen of everything in. I'm very excited about it, and you're not quite sure about it yet, but I'll tell you, I'm so convinced that you are going to love these products so much, they'll be a booming success in your salon, that here's what I'll do. If you will agree to put it once again at eye level, and I'll make a nice display for you, and show your staff how to use it, which I will teach them, do a little class. If you will only take 6 of each, not even a dozen, In 30 days, if it's not the best you've ever used, I will come back and give you your money back. Now that's fair enough, isn't it? I would look him in the eye, and many said, no. I have all this Matrix, I have all this Redken, I have all this whatever, Helene Curtis in those days, Revlon. I'd say, you know what? I don't blame you once again. I can appreciate that. It is new. But I know you're going to like it so much. If you'll take 3 of each. I think the smallest one I had was 1 of each just to try it, just to get it in their hands. And I would come back and I would show them how to do it. Now, in those days, I would walk out of the car, bring the stuff in, and I would put it right in their salon. What time do you want me tonight or tomorrow? And I would hold them their class. But I couldn't do this forever and grow a company. I needed distribution. I needed a distributor. I also knew that if I walked into a distributor with a product line they never heard of before, I don't have very much of a chance of getting a big distributor, especially like Paris Ace Beauty Supply, the biggest one in Los Angeles where I launched the company, to take on my line. So I kept on knocking on doors the entire week. I finally sold 12 salons total and had checks ranging anywhere from the mid-20s to I think the highest one was like $130, 12 different checks. When they wrote me a check for the product, I had them leave the line blank on who it was made out to. So I had these checks in my pocket. I also knew that I had to have the money right away because we had no money. So if I had a distributor, I needed a way to get money right away. The professional beauty industry does not pay their bills for 45 days. So if I went to a distributor, he said, yes, I wouldn't be paid for 45 days. And if they were late, I wouldn't be paid for 60 days. I needed the money right away. So what I did was this. Before I spoke to the distributor, on my little piece of paper that had John Paul Mitchell Systems, Universal City, California, that drew lines on, I added 5% onto the wholesale cost of my entire product line. 5% was just added on. And that worked to my advantage. So what I did was this. Here was my presentation. I walked into Paris Ace Beauty Supply. A fellow named Jim Henrietta was the general manager and the president for the company. He graciously saw me. I showed him our products. He said exactly what I thought he would say. He said to me, you're a nice man, you're very enthusiastic, but why do I need Paul Mitchell products? No advertising, no promotion, never heard of it before. No one's gonna take it. Thank you so much, young man. I appreciate what you're doing here, and I wish you the best of luck. Come back when you've got some orders. And I said, here's why you should take it. And I pulled out 12 checks and laid it 1, 2, and I counted the 12 checks as I laid them out. I said, that's your first 12 orders, and that money's going to you. I've already made the sale. He goes, wow. I said, now, Mr. Henrietta, we're a new company starting out. If you will order from me $2,000, I mean, we were really hard up for money. We didn't have any. If you'll only order $2,000 from me, you can have all of LA and Orange County exclusively. He says, well, that's a pretty good deal. I said, great. He says, but only if you come back. When the order arrives, you got to come back and work with my salesmen, different salesmen every single day to that $2,000 that I'm buying from you is going to be gone. Fair enough. I said, I will gladly do that. Let's shake hands on it. I said, sir, there's one more thing. I am brand new in business and we really need the money. Would you mind giving me a check when the order was delivered? He looked at me and Mr. Henrietta said, in fact, he tells the story when we were 25 years old, we invited him to our company meeting. 25 years old, and he told this story. He says, so JP's there, and I'm saying, we're Paris Ace Beauty Supply. We don't pay our bills for 45 days. And this JP guy says, you know what? What if I gave you immediately a 5% discount immediately? You know, that adds up to a lot of money. On an annualized basis, that's 60% discount. He says, well, okay. He says, I don't normally do this, but I'll do it for you, but you better show up. I said, I will certainly show up here, sir, I promise. And as Jim says it, 5 minutes later, he gets a call from his warehouse man. And his warehouse man says, Jim, there's some guy back here unloading product, and he wants a check for a couple $1,000. Says, he was just in my office a few minutes ago. Jim came out, wrote the check, laughed his head off. I got the check, and that's how we got into business. You take a look at what your challenges are, and in advance you prepare for it. And in today's world, like if you were to take on, let's say, one of those real big companies, those big box stores, or someone said, we'll take you on, but they're not going to pay their bill for 60 days. But if you know that in advance, and all of a sudden, well, but if you paid it within 10 days or right away, here's a 5% discount. Whoa, now that makes some sense. You look at what the challenge is and find a way to do it where every single person benefits. So he got an additional 5% off, and that's how Paul Mitchell did it. Well, within 1 year, all my competitors gave him the same discount. But because I was the first to do it, my bills today are paid immediately. My competitors still wait for 45 days, and they give them the same discount. So be a leader, take that step. Take that energizing step to do things, and sometimes that little step is going to work. So we did that, and we did it from one distributor to another. And I've got to tell you, times were hard. When did you guys know you made it? 2 years after we started, we knew we made it. Well, what told us we made it? Because for the first time in our entire history, every bill we had was paid on time. On time. We didn't pay him off, we paid him on time. Oh my God, we have life made. And we had $4,000 left over, $2,000 each. We were in heaven. Oh my God, on top of the world. Our bills aren't paid on time. Now it's going into 1982. Our bills are paid on time. We have $2,000 each. Yay! So I went to celebrate and took a lady friend with me to Marina Del Rey, California, to a restaurant, a nice Mexican restaurant down there. And for the first time in my adult life, I ordered, because I could afford to. I come from very humble means. I'm a first-generation American. My mom came over on the boat from Greece. My dad from Italy. He deserted the family by the time I was 2. We had a single mom, trying to raise 2 boys. We had very, very little in our lives, very, very little. So to be able to have $2,000 in our pocket and have a business and our bills paid was a huge deal. So I wanted to celebrate. So to celebrate, I went to the restaurant, and for the first time in my adult life, I ordered off the right side of the menu. If you have a menu here, on the left is what you get. On the right is what it cost. So I would go down, okay, $3.95, what do you get? Forget the $9.95, it's just not gonna happen. Not today, not today. Ladies with me? The most expensive thing on the menu, by the way, was carne de asada for $9.95. So I went down there, ordered carne de asada. My guest, she ordered whatever she wanted. I ordered a large guacamole. Yeah, I'll take the $4 one, no problem. 2 margaritas, please, right? I'm on top of the world, boy. Got that money in my pocket here. Easy sailing. I grew up in the inner city. The table right in front of me was a table with people, ladies, some kids, and she was ordering the way I did, or used to. Off the right side of the menu, what did it cost, and what do you get for $3.95 for $2.95? And you could tell she didn't have any money. You could just tell there's kids there and all that. So I don't know what behooved me to do this, but it just is. The universe came to me, call it God shined on me for this reason. I don't know why. I got up off the table, she was right in front of me, off my table, excuse myself. I followed the waiter into the kitchen. And I said to the waiter, table over there, take care of them. And I figured out, can I afford, okay, if all the kids there ordered all this stuff, no, it's fine. I have some extra money for them too. If they want to order some more, I can afford it. I said, I want to pick up the bill. Don't tell her who it was, and I'll give you a 10% tip. I was so proud. Because when you don't have any money, you leave a 5% tip, it's a big deal. Today at 10%, I think everyone expects that, but for me, 10% was a big deal. I'll give you a 10% tip, but just don't tell her. And I don't know why I said that, I just did. Went back and sat down. He told her. This lady looked all over the place, stood up and said, whoever you are, very loudly, thank you. You have no idea what you did for me and these children. And she had no idea. In fact, she actually stood up, looked at me, went around the room, ended it with me, can't be this guy. So her back to me, and when she did that, in fact, I can still do it now, you see the goosebumps. When she did that, goosebumps ran up and down my body. I was high as a kite. Now I'm a child of the 60s. We had a little revolution down, okay? You never get on any higher, anything you could ever smoke or anything you could ever drink or do, than you will get when you do something for somebody else. and ask absolutely nothing in return. I mean, I walked out of there, I was floating on a cloud, and it lasted a long time. Wow, what a high that was, doing something for somebody else. When you look at Good Fortune, when they made the documentary, it's a lady with 2 little kids, opposed to several kids there. But that's how it came out a little bit in the documentary. But it was several kids there. Anyways, long story short on that, I felt wonderful. I gave and asked absolutely nothing in return. And in life, you're going to find that out. I have in the United States right now about 120 Paul Mitchell schools. They're cosmetology schools that we've got 2, one between Fort Worth and Arlington, another one in Dallas, and they're all over the place. Good schools. What we do in our school, unlike any other school, is we teach our students not just how to be a great hairstylist, how to be a great colorist, how to be great in business. Part of our curriculum, unlike any other school, is giving back. We underwrite the entire program while they're in school. They do fundraisers over a couple of months. Car washes, hairstyles, everything you could ever imagine these kids do. We pay for the whole thing. Every dime they raise, half of it stays in their community for charity. Part of it goes to the United States and part goes international. Every dime that's raised, because we underwrote the whole thing. They learn while they're in school the joy of giving back. Now, do those kids, for example, in Dallas or Arlington or in Fort Worth that go to one of our schools, will they ever meet the kids from the Children's Miracle Network who have no money and they have medical needs? No, but they do it. Will they ever meet any of the 7,000 orphans whose parents have all died of AIDS? Nobody wanted them. They're all 1 day old to 12 years old. Some of them are dumped in trash cans and we pull them out. Got about 7,000 of them. Will they ever meet them? A couple of them have, because when they had time off, they wanted to go to Africa and they wanted to take care of these kids or help out. So we do. We take care of these kids. We give them a place to live, security, so those little armies don't take them away, make little kid soldiers. You know, give them guns, shoot people. Anyways, we give them food and education to be able to give them a good chance in life to make it. Now, how does this kind of philanthropy change the world? Do you think there's one of these kids that some of these militia armies that are crazy nuts down there, fundamentalists that are stupid fundamentalists, they say it's in the name of whoever they call God, but they're lying because that's not what God wants, obviously, to say, hey, you 12-year-old, 13-year-old, here's the gun. We're going to kill the infidels. We're going to go kill them all right now because it says so, and we're going to go kill them, and they're bad guys. Well, what's their thought? Well, where the hell were you when I was starving to death and everyone was throwing me out? Those guys from the West sent money, sent people. Let me live. And you want me to shoot them? I think there's something wrong with your ideology. It helps change people's minds and create a little bit of love through peace, through love and happiness. How does Paul Mitchell become a company where Paul Mitchell all of a sudden has a company all over the world and our turnover is around 100 people? How does that happen? It's how you treat people. I can remember working in my early days and maybe at lunchtime I had 75 cents. You can't buy a lot of anything for 75 cents. So I knew that as soon as I could afford, and it was maybe we were 4 years old when we could afford this, if you worked for John Paul Mitchell Systems, you got free lunch. Today, if you work for John Paul Mitchell Systems, you get free lunch. You order off menus. You get free lunch. We continue that. I knew that if I ever could do that, I'm going to make sure that no one was in my shoes where they had very little and could have little to nothing to eat for lunch. Free lunch at Paul Mitchell. How do you manage with love and become effective at what you do, but managing with love? And I'm going to tell you how to do that. How do you reprimand somebody? And upon reprimanding them, they feel good when they walk out. Normally when someone reprimands you, like you screwed up, oh, you screwed up, you feel terrible. Oh, the boss doesn't like me, the teacher doesn't like me, my parents don't like me, I got a B- or a C+ on the test I should have got an A on. Oh my God, they're reprimanding me. How do you, if you're in business, reprimand somebody or in your own personal life? How do you tell somebody something was wrong and have them love you after you told them? You have to prepare. You need 3 things. Number 1, what did they do that was improper? Number 2, how do you do it right? A lot of people screw up, but don't know they screwed up. They thought they did it right. What do they do wrong? How do they do it right? But the most important, the third thing is, what do they already do good that you know they did good, they know they did good. You want those three things. Here's how it would go. For example, what is your name, sir? Daniel? Daniel, come on in my office, please. You always reprimand behind closed doors one-on-one. Never reprimand anybody or challenge anybody or tell anybody you've done something wrong in front of anybody else. It's covert hostility. They will stab you in the back every single time they can because you just embarrassed them in front of somebody else. Rule number one, only reprimand somebody one-on-one behind closed doors. Daniel, thank you for coming in here. Daniel, for the last week, you've been coming in here a half an hour to 45 minutes late. And the reason we come in here on time, Daniel, is because we're expecting you to be part of our whole team. And if you're not here on time, you're really good at what you do. But if you're not here on time, Daniel, then it means that the whole team is behind. And so, Daniel, that's why we want you to come in on time. Not that, well, you'll stay as long as it takes, and we know that. But we need everyone on time so the whole team works as a group to perform what we're doing. So I told him what he did wrong, why I want it done another way, and why it made sense. But we're not over yet. Daniel, you are one of the best illustrators we have ever had. You're incredible at what you do. So someone as sharp as you, man, I would expect to realize why we really need you here on time. You're just too cool, man. Okay, Daniel, be my buddy on that one. I'll shake Daniel's hand. Daniel will walk out knowing that, hey, he likes me. He knows what I do right. I'm just improving in something a little bit. That's how you reprimand with love, not with hate. Second part is the opposite. What if somebody did something right? Always praise in as many people around as you can loudly. Daniel, wow, did you do a great job with that illustration? Nancy's over there and Henry's over there listening, right? I do it loud so people can hear it. Man, I'm so proud of you, Daniel. Thank you. You have no idea. Well, you probably know what you've done for the team. Out of sight, Daniel. Good job, buddy. I saw that illustration. Daniel heard it, and he knows that somebody else heard it also. You praise publicly as loud as you can, whether there's one person there or 10 people. And if someone did something good, hold back a little bit till someone's walking by or someone else could hear it. It means the world to somebody. It truly means the world to them. You also look at those that work with you as, well, if I was in their shoes, what would I like to happen to me? If I was part of what they were doing, what would I like for myself? And that's what you give them. And you listen. When I have something, people come right up to me and say, well, JP, I know now you're more philanthropic. You don't really run the operations of the company, which I don't have great talent. They said, but I'd like to give you my idea. I said, great. And I will sit there and listen to anything they want to tell me, whether it's something good, whether it's, well, JP, you could be doing this better. No matter what, I will listen. And I will say, you know, that's so good. And I'll get a little piece of paper after they gave me the idea, and I'll write to Luke, my president. Luke, they have a great idea here. You really got to check this out. And I sign it. Now, they can walk into Luke's office anytime they want, but they walk in with that piece of paper I signed and makes them feel like $1 million. The golden rule. And there is a golden rule. In fact, if I could, no disrespect, wipe out every religion in the world, but have God deliver one message to everybody, regardless of the rites and rituals of what they believe in, the message would be this: do unto others as you'll have others do unto you. It's a golden rule. Jesus talked about it. It's a golden rule. So, but if you took all rites, all rituals out of everything out of religion, there was just one thing that would describe it all. That's it. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. When you run a business that way, or your personal life, think about arguments you get into, whether it's around your family. If you get into let's say, a challenge with anyone in your family, whether it's a friend or a family member, and there's a challenge, say, excuse me, do you mind if we talk about this kind of privately? Always get away. Don't let anybody else hear. A lot of kids grow up and the parents are arguing. Or all of a sudden, you have one sibling over here and the mom is saying, well, you have 3 pierced earrings right now, and why are you doing that? Next year you're going to have one of those sticks going through your nose. What's going on? I'm embarrassed. Go to your room, whatever. Nothing gets accomplished. If that happened, Mom, Dad, can we talk about this for a second? Mom, Dad, let me tell you why I have these little 3 things here. And no, I'm not going to stick a stick through my nose. I may put a little earring in there, but here's why. In your day, Well, actually, if you go back to my day, in your day, you guys started doing this, and you started doing this like somebody named Elvis Presley. And your parents thought, are you kidding? Are you crazy? You're wiggling all over the place. That's not dancing. And you're singing this rock and roll stuff. My God, Perry Como, where are you? Perry, Lord Swelk, where are you? These guys listen to rock and roll. Well, times change. Mom and Dad, times changed. It was Elvis in your day, or it was the Beatles, or it was Michael Jackson, or The Who, or Roy Orbison, whoever it was. Times change. In our day, this is fashionable. Now, is it going to hurt me? No. I can take them out whenever I want. It'll grow right back in. It's just the style, similar to what you did maybe when you were a kid, Mom. I don't want to embarrass you by doing this, but we're a little different today. All of a sudden, there's a different point of view. It's done behind closed doors. Behind closed doors. And when you're talking to your parents or a teacher or anybody, again, I'm going to go back to be the best listener in the world. If they interrupt you, just be quiet. Don't say a word. Let them interrupt you. Hear them out. Because many times people just need to talk. I'll give you an example. There was a fellow named Vinny that worked for me on the East Coast for Paul Mitchell. Vinny, great guy. One day, one of my distributors called me and said, JP, Vinny is useless. He comes out here, he goes in the field with my salespeople, he accomplishes nothing, he talks a lot. Can I have somebody else? Okay. And I thought Vinny was pretty good, so I had him down in New Jersey, had the person from Connecticut come across to New York. Well, a few years went by and I thought, this is stupid. There's something wrong here. So I said, Vinny, I want you to call up this particular distributor, she was a lady, I want you to call her up and say this to her. Say, hi, I'm really sorry to disturb you, but I'm trying to change my life for the better. I really am. And I know I did something that was very upsetting to you many years ago, where we couldn't work together. I'm only asking you for help. Please tell me what it is that I did wrong so I'll never do that again in my life. I'm really changing my life and I want to be really right about everything. Will you help me? Within 15 minutes, they were crying on the phone to each other. I'm so sorry, you're really a good guy. It wasn't that bad. And all of a sudden she says, can I have Vinny back, please? Well, yes, you can. And then a year later, I was changing management. She says, you're changing management, but don't take Vinny away from me. I love Vinny. Listening, and sometimes you win by losing. You ever get in an argument with a friend? Ever have somebody in your life, a teacher, anybody, where you don't get along anymore? At one time, you got along just great? Well, if you say, well, here's what you did, here's what you said, that's why we're not getting along anymore, that person's going to defend what they did to the end. They will defend it. We're humans. It's natural. So how do you approach that? Hey, Daniel, we were the best of friends all the way through high school, buddy, okay? Something went wrong. I don't know what it was. I don't know what I did, Daniel, but Daniel, what did I do? What really screwed things up a lot why we're not buddies anymore? Here it's 20 years later. Well, in your case, a day and a half later, because you're a young guy. But here's 2 years later, okay? What went wrong? And then Daniel will tell me. In many cases it was, well, Mary Ann said that you said I was a creep or you didn't like hanging out with me for whatever reason. I would have a chance to say, Daniel, I never said that. Is that what happened? Oh my God, Daniel, I apologize for God knows what Mary Ann heard where it was sidestepped. Oh, you're saying ask questions pretty soon. Okay, hold on. All right. Anyways, all of a sudden, you're the best of friends again. You win by losing. It never hurts to tell somebody, hey, even if you know you're right, 100% right and they're wrong, I don't know what happened. But whatever I did wrong, please let me know. I want to make it okay. It now gives them the reason to not have to defend anything, but to come forth. Now, we're just getting going right now, but I know I'm limited for time because I've already talked to you for an hour, and I was supposed to be open to questions. So here's what I'd like you to do here, okay? So much more I want to tell you. Take a look at Good Fortune, the movie. It'll tell a lot of other things. Now the Patrón story, I even get a chance to tell you about Patrón, how nobody wanted Patrón in 1989. I started Patrón and no distributor would take me on. Nobody wanted it. The average tequila was $5 a bottle. The best ones were $14. When I started Patrón, it was so good and expensive to make, I had to sell it for $37 a bottle. And nobody wanted it. Well, how the world, no one would distribute for me. How the world did you do that? I wish I had another 20 minutes to tell you, but I can't. Good Fortune, the movie, check it out. Now I'm gonna go back on schedule. Thank you, dear. Okay, okay, so Okay, I will. Okay, what I'm going to do is this. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to throw this out, and then you just push the button, and wait. Hello.
Throw it down, then it'll go live.
Oh, well, okay. If anybody has a question, that's theirs. There we go. If you're alive. Sorry. Do you have a question, sir? If not, pass to someone near you that has a question. Any question, comments, criticism, we take it all. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, my name is Charles. I'm an executive MBA student here. As a Marine of 17 years, one, thank you for your service. Get that out of the way.
You're welcome.
I've been an entrepreneur now. I've been a student for the last 7 years. It's a passion, but my real passion has been a nonprofit I just started about 6 months ago or so. And obviously not having a whole lot of money for it, my hardest thing is saying no to somebody. Like all these needs for firefighters, police officers, teachers, and veterans, saying no. Of course, we don't have a lot of resources, so
Sure.
it's a little easier. So 2 questions. One, how do you learn to say no? How do you learn to prioritize? And the second one is, having proven yourself successful in the philanthropic world, if you give me 30 minutes of your time one day via Skype or email, I make a guarantee that while I may not be able to change the world, I will make lives like a little bit less.
Sure.
Now that sounds fair, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's very fair. Okay, I like that. First of all, your first question I can answer immediately because it happens to me all the time. And I give in the millions for my philanthropic endeavors. It's really big money. And I think I give to about 163 charities. So many right now I'm over inundated. We get calls. I have an executive director, Constance is her name, of my Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation. So what Constance tells people is, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it, but we are right now over inundated. Right now, there's nothing we're totally over inundated, and we are over inundated now. But thank you for calling us and giving us this opportunity. We're gonna have to pass this time around. It's the truth. We're over inundated, okay? Second question you asked me, it'll be impossible for me to do that. I've never done email in my life or Skype. There's no way in the world I even know how to do it, and that's by choice. I'd be over inundated. But I promise you, if you take a look at Good Fortune, the movie, it'll go over some of the philanthropic things we do. Also go to, if you're a computer guy, I'm not, so I always ask people, okay? Go on to JP's Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation. It'll tell you about our foundation, how we do it, how we pick things out, and who we support. Hope that's helpful. Okay, there we go, sir. Can you count? Yep, and I did knock you out. Okay.
First of all, I want to say my name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yes, I'm an immigrant from Ghana, West Africa, and I want to say thank you and God bless you for everything that you're doing with Food for Africa. If you could tell me about some of your best memories working in Africa. And also, I read the book by you, Ilana,
Oh, the
and
Patrón Way. Good
Martin.
book.
Yes, and I was wondering if I may have the honor of you signing my book.
Of course I can. Be very, very happy to. Okay. By the way, Ghana, your country I know a little bit about. If they spread...
TCU 10.
No, please, that's okay. Here, open it up. I'll do it really quickly here. I'll tell you about your country, Ghana, a little bit that you know more than I do. But I'm going to give you a peace, love, and happiness here. Let me just do peace, love, happiness. I'm drawing pictures. See, it's easier. Peace, love, and happiness. Okay. Yeah, Ilana wrote a good book here. Okay, your country, by the way, has enough oil and natural resources. If they spread the money out to all the people evenly, your average income in your country would be $450,000 US a day. Instead, the people that ran the company, I know this because his son lived down the street from me, okay? And they kicked him out of the country. Instead, the royal family took billions of dollars and put it in their own pocket. They got busted by the international court. But that to give you an example how to spread the wealth, Christ, take half the money. Are you kidding? A country where $200,000 was the average income? There's no country in the world that does that. Okay, so remember, as you go in life, you go back to your country. We share the wealth with people. If you ever have a chance to do that, and I'm sure you will, young man. There was a young lady here. In fact, here, let me do what I'm supposed to do here. Here you go. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sarah, so I'm an MBA student as well.
Okay.
So I know your expertise is in products, but I'm in the service industry, and you mentioned that with Paul Mitchell, you did the whole 30-day money-back guarantee.
Yes.
And with service, you're offering timer of some sort. So what would be your advice to offer for the person that is on the ledge of wanting to sign, but they don't have that guarantee just yet?
Well, first of all, people are going to tell you no. But no doesn't mean I don't want it. No means you haven't convinced me. It's just like what I did with, here's a dozen, here's 6, here's 3. I'll give you one with the same guarantee. In other words, have something to come back at. Now, I have a product I could take back. If you have a service that you are offering, it's very simple. If within a period of 30 days, my services and everything you could possibly imagine, I'll give you your money back. That's fair enough, isn't it? If I don't help your charity out the way I should, within 30 days, that fast, I'll give you whatever money you gave me back. Is that fair enough? Okay. Can I get one more question? Because I never asked anybody way back there if they had a question. One more. Anybody back there have a question? Because way in the very back, yes, please. Can you speak a little bit louder, please? Or I'll throw should I send the mic back to you? Can someone run the mic back? Wait. But can you show that lovely lady how to work that thing?
Hello? Okay.
Hi, speak right in it. Loudly,
Hi.
please.
My name's Tatiana. I'm actually from UTA.
Hi, Tatiana. Welcome.
So I did some charity work with a therapy barn where they do horse therapy for children with special needs.
Yeah.
And I actually really fell in love with the work they do there.
Uh-huh.
And ever since then, I've wanted to start my own nonprofit working with rescue horses and special needs children. But the more I thought about it, oh, I need to hire a trainer. I need to get licensed therapists. I need to buy land. I need to get horses. There's just so much to do. And I was just wondering, what's the first step to starting a nonprofit?
Get your hands on either borrow or buy a very inexpensive, sweet, gentle horse. Put a bridle on it and walk it wherever you want to go and start communicating. I know a little bit about this because my wife has in Georgetown, Texas. We live in Austin, by the way. In Georgetown, a rehab center called The Arbor, and part of what we do is equine therapy. So that's what it's simple. If you don't have the money, just get a horse, borrow a horse. Walk it wherever you want to walk it and let people pet the horse and get a feeling. You have to, it's like the first step that you take. I hope that gives you some information on it, okay? Just take a step. Just take a step in that direction.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I know I'm out of time, but I got to tell you a story because you guys are in college. You got to know America Still Works, okay? So I'm going to tell you a real quick story here. And this is the Texas Christian University, isn't it? Yes. Okay. In the beginning, God created the planet Earth. He created an oyster and said, Oyster, I'm going to give you the most perfect social, economic environment to ever live in. I'm giving you a free house and free clothes. I'm going to call it a shell. I'm going to put you at the bottom of the ocean to protect you from your enemies. You want to eat? Open your mouth and food will rush in. If you're full, close your mouth. You have food, clothing, shelter, care, protection. But Oyster, you're not going to go anywhere. A little bit like what socialism is. No disrespect, okay? Where don't do anything, everyone's going to pay for it, especially the guys that made it. No disrespect, okay? That's extreme. But then God created something called an eagle, and I think every one of you are here because of this part of the story. He said, Eagle, you're a different species. Go build yourself a house. God, where do I build it? I don't know. Go find, how about the top of a tree, the side of a cliff? Just go build a house. Okay, God, what do I eat? Go find your food. Go out there, fly around, find something to eat, looks good, and just go down and eat it. Okay, God. So what does the eagle do? The eagle finds its own house. Sometimes they'll go through miles of wind, snow, rain, sleet to feed itself and its young. The eagle is the only bird in the world, actually it's the only animal in the world that flies into a hurricane to ride the thermals to have fun. The eagle fails 95% of the time. It's so big and cumbersome, it comes down on it, the wild prey, and the wild prey feels it coming down, this big eagle, and it just takes off. It only succeeds 5% of the time, where hawks and smaller prey birds succeed a lot more. But the eagle, who fails 95% of the time, is the strongest bird in the air. The eagle can go anywhere it wants. The eagle, and not the oyster, is the emblem of America. I don't think you'd be in school right now or want to be entrepreneurs if you just want to work for someone to be able to get a paycheck, do as little as you can, get as much as you can, and kind of tiptoe through life, oops, don't miss that line, to make it safely to death. And you know, a lot of people do that. They tiptoe through life just to make it safely to death. And then when they get older, they say, my God, my regrets are now surpassing my dreams. I just missed life. You're eagles. Thank you very, very much for giving me this opportunity. Peace, love, and happiness. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.